Take two. Hey Fab Fam, it's Vinny B with Dead on Board Gaming, and today I wanted to kind of just throw out my thoughts on a conversation that Louie and George had on the last May the Zoo Be With You podcast, where they talked about the PvE of Flesh and Blood. And I wanted to throw my 2 cents in really because I kind of agree with both of them and kind of remember some of the things they talked about a little bit better. So the first thing I wanted to touch on was, George saying that no games do this, and if they've tried it, they've never pursued it further. And he is a lot right. So first we'll start with Magic. Magic did the Arc Enemy, which was, 4v1. I guess that could be a player versus environment, but there was somebody that had to control the rest of it. So that's the one thing that kind of changes that a little bit for me. But let's just say what it is, because it's kind of the same thing as Dungeons and Dragons, right? Like, you're playing the deck, but the deck kind of plays itself, if I remember right. They also did Plane Chase, which isn't PvE, but it was another multiplayer format, which I thought was cool, and I always wondered why they never supported that, even through just a promo thing. I think they did one promo of it, but like that would have been an easy kind of thing to support. Now I've always wondered why they didn't just put out a Planes every like Christmas, Then with the Theros block, they came out with these little boss rushes, and I don't recall if they were multiplayer or single player. I know you could play them as single player, but there might have been a mechanic to like up the hardness or difficulty, if I want to speak proper English. But I remember there was I think the first set was a Hydra, and it had heads, and it would add heads to it, and the heads would do different amounts of damage or block different things like that, and you would try to like damage the heads and remove the heads. That one was pretty fun, actually. I remember that. And then there was another one that I don't really recall. It was for the middle block, if there was still a middle block. Maybe there wasn't. Maybe there was only two. But the second one, or the third one, the other one I remember was you played against a god. I think it was Xenagos. And again, it was fun, but I think it was fun for like one or two times, and then after that, it was kind of the same thing. And again, right back to that, it's like I always wonder why they didn't support that. Like, why didn't they put out a little PvE every set themed with the set? I always wondered that, because I feel like it's just such an easy thing to do as you're sitting there and you have such a big company and stuff like that, and it's such a small, easy thing to do. Put out like a $10 deck. I think they were like $15.99 or something like that. But a $10 or $15 deck that just added something extra. But again, this is probably back to George's point. It probably made no money, and if it makes no money, it makes no sense. That's capitalism, baby, right? So as sad as that is, I mean, that's true. Now, back to what Louis was saying is, World of Warcraft had a semi-popular PvE experience. But the problem with that is, if I remember right, and we're about to play it, so I want to see if it was good, too. We're going to be playing it very soon. We have one on the shelf over there, actually. But a lot of players were buying it for the loot cards, and they weren't playing the PvE experience. They were buying them like expensive booster boxes just to try to get the expensive loot cards out of there, because some of the mounts were worth a lot of money. So I think the company started to notice that it wasn't really getting played. It was just being bought in, multiples, just trying to find these loot cards. And I think slowly but surely, we could just put the loot cards in packs, you know what I mean? So it makes no sense to put out that. So again, back into that corner to where, no, it just didn't make sense for any of these other games. Now, to get back to the better side, right now, PvE is a very popular thing. And if you've ever played Marvel Champions, the mechanics and the way the game kind of works reminds me a lot of Flesh and Blood. Now, I've said many times that I hope that it's not going to be a boss rush, which I think is what Marvel Champions is. I'm not very far, because there's a campaign mode, which there might be scenarios. I'm not that far into it. But the mechanics of the game remind me very much of Flesh and Blood. Like, you pitch cards in your thing have a pitch, and you get to pick what you're playing, and you pitch the cards to do that, and you reshuffle. It doesn't go to the bottom, but you reshuffle at the end, so you don't technically lose your cards. You know what I mean? So like you go through this long boss battle with all the people, and the more people they upgrade the boss. Like we just fought Rhino. We lost once, we won once. Very cool though, but it's very popular is my point. That Arkham Horror, that type of game is popular right now. And just if that's the fail state of what Flesh and Blood would do for PvE, I think they're still in a great position to bring in new players and also have a casual hang out with your friends type of game. Now again, I want it to be a dungeon crawl. I want it to have things to do. I had this idea. I was going to try to put it out, but I'm not a game designer and I don't have time. So I'm going to put it out in the ether. Maybe one of you guys will do something with it. And if you do, let me know because I'm real interested in it. But if you've ever played Slay the Spire, I think you can put together a scenario with Flesh and Blood and the heroes and the characters and different lore aspects and put together a map where the player gets to choose what he goes through. And he can go to different merchants and he can go to different scenarios, and he runs into different bosses and things like that. And I thought it'd be cool. You know what I mean? You run into a wizard, and the wizard starts with some kind of effect in play that makes your attacks a little weaker since he's not going to really block. Yeah, so that was my idea. But again, I'm never going to get to it, and they're going to be putting it out pretty soon. So again, I'm going to put it out in the ether, and maybe one of you guys do something with it. And if you do, I would love to see it. So yeah, those were my ideas. I mean, there's still so much up in the air for it and stuff like that. But I do think Flesh and Blood needs something other than Ultimate Pit Fight. I 100% agree with that. Maybe this is the answer, maybe it's not. But I do think with the popularity of co-op gaming right now, it stands a very good chance of bringing more people into Flesh and Blood as a lore and as a gateway to the game. So again, those are my 2 cents. Not that anybody asked, but I put it out there because I had time to do it. I want to know what you guys think. What side do you lean on? Is it a necessary thing? Are you excited about it? I am excited about it because again, I think the mechanics and the ideas of what they have lends itself so well to something like that with the classes, the party mechanic. There's just so many cool things that could happen. Just the excitement to see what they do is cool for me. But again, a lot of games, have done little bits of it and never expanded upon it, and some that have found out that what they were offering ended up being more important than what the experience was. But those were in the past, and again, there is a popularity with games like Marvel Champions and Arkham Horror and stuff like that. So again, I'm real excited. Let me know what you guys think. As always, thank you for being the best community in gaming. I'm Vinny B. This is Dead on Board Gaming, and I'll catch you guys later.